Hello everyone, and welcome to another tutorial. Fedora 37 has been finally released. Along with official ISOs and various spins, we also have an Everything Edition net installer available. It's been slightly over a year since I showcased everything on this channel, on Fedora 35, so it's high time we give it another go, right after this. Fedora Everything provides many choices on what is installed and how things are configured via the Anaconda installer. Anaconda can be a bit quirky for some, but it remains one of the most powerful Linux installers available. Today, I'd like to set up the Cinnamon desktop environment, along with the i3 Window Manager as an alternative, as well as Timeshift for fast BTRFS system snapshots. Let's boot up the Everything ISO. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Option 2 here will boot from the Everything ISO. So enter 2, booting from CD, install Fedora 37. So again, this is the net installer, so it should bring up Anaconda automatically. This is not a live environment. Just the bare essentials for installing from the network. And there we go. Here's the Anaconda installer, English language, and English United States. Looks good. Okay, so here we go. English keyboard, English United States language support. Los Angeles time zone is correct. We'll leave the root account disabled and we'll create a user. My name, of course, is Steven. And I'll give myself a nice password. Enter it twice so we don't have a typo in there. All right. So as you can see, the root account is disabled, which is what I like to do here. Okay, so installation destination. Let's do a manual partition scheme here, semi-manual rather. I'll select custom, VDA 64 gig free, that's our target drive. You haven't created any mount points for installation, so let's click here and create them automatically. All right, for Timeshift compatibility, the home subvolume, BTRFS subvolume, should be at home. So I'll update the settings here. And for the root subvolume, instead of root, we'll just put an at sign there, and we'll click update settings. This is basically the default Ubuntu BTRFS subvolume layout. And again, to make sure that Timeshift will work properly, because we want to use BTRFS Timeshift, not rsync. So here we go. Those are our two subvolumes for BTRFS, root and at home. Okay. So next, let's go to the software selection. As you can see, our base environment, we can choose a lot of desktop environments, server patterns, etc., etc. Today, I'd like to choose the Cinnamon desktop. It's one of my favorite environments. Haven't done Cinnamon in a while. And for additional software for the selected Cinnamon environment, I like LibreOffice, administration tools, C development tools and libraries, container development. I like my distro box. Development tools always come in handy. Let's see what else. Editors, including Emacs and Vi. Here's the option for free IPA server. Fantastic piece of software. You can set up your free domain controller if you want. It's a very powerful central directory service. Okay, we'll also choose Office Productivity, We had LibreOffice earlier, but just to round things out. Sound and video. System tools, such as clients for connecting to Samba shares and tools to monitor network traffic, always handy. Good, we're all done. So let's click on done. So we're finished with the software selection. One more thing, I'd like to click on network and host name. I'd like to give the host name for this machine, fedev, for Fedora everything, -1. And we'll click apply. And so that's going to be our new current host name for install. As you can see, I've got a secure private network here that's been configured properly. You can select Wi-Fi here as well and set up your Wi-Fi connection if you need to using that menu. Cool. All right, everything looks good. So we're ready to begin installation. So right now it partitions the drive and then it will download all the packages, around 1800 RPM packages. Then once it's done downloading, then it will begin installing, as you can see here. 1817 RPM packages. Then once it's done, it will configure the installed system, install bootloader, create the users, init RAM file system, and it's finished. The magic of video editing. So we'll go ahead and reboot the system. And this time we'll select one, the main disk. As you can see, we're booting Fedora Linux 37, kernel 608. And since this is a Cinnamon environment, we should, after the initial setup is done, be greeted with the LightDM greeter. And yes, we are. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my password for LightDM, Display Manager. I've got an option of Cinnamon and Cinnamon software rendering. Cinnamon is fine. Let's go ahead and log in. And here's our very nice, very vanilla looking Cinnamon desktop environment. So let me go ahead and fix the resolution, etc. Let's go to System Settings and click on Display and change the resolution from 1024 by 768 to 1920 by 1080, which should be the default resolution of this YouTube video. We'll keep this configuration. Of course, that makes the fonts very small. So next, let me fix that by going to Font Selection under Appearance. And for text scaling factor, I like to put 1.2. So a 20% boost in the text size. That hopefully will make it more readable for you guys. For the background, instead of this blue Macintosh looking desktop environment, I'm going to choose under Basic, Ladybugs. That's a very nice wallpaper. I like ladybugs. Okay, and there's system info. As you can see, we're running Cinnamon 5.14.12. And yes, under Fedora Linux 37. Very good. All right, so pretty standard configuration items for Cinnamon. Under administration, you've also got the firewall D that the Fedora Net installer took care of for us. So here you can configure your firewall. I strongly suggest you take a look at this early on in your installation. Make sure you're safe and secure on the interwebs. Internet, rather. Right? Okay. So let's close the settings. Over here in DNF Dragora Updater, it'll remind you if you've got pending updates. So it's very handy. On the bottom right of the screen there. Okay, let's launch the terminal. Got some more things to do here. So let me make the font size bigger. And let's go full screen here. And let's DNF repo list. So again, these are the standard repositories as installed. No RPM Fusion, etc. You'll have to take care of that yourself if you want those. RPM Fusion is highly recommended. Let's do a DNF update quickly. Make sure we don't have any newer packages to install. Looks like net install installed the latest and freshest packages. So no updates available. Free-H shows 840 megabytes of RAM used. DF-H shows that the system uses up to 6.8 gigs on the of disk. So fairly light installation, right? 1,800 packages. Uname-A shows we're running kernel 6.0.8. It's just a few days old. Today is the 15th, so not bad at all. Okay, let's fix DNF with sudo nano etc dnf dnf.conf because I'd like to speed things up a little bit. Enable parallel downloads with max underscore parallel underscore downloads equals 10. It's generally recommended value for the parallelity of DNF. Parallelity, is that a word? I just invented it. Okay, so now that that's done, we can go ahead with some DNF operations. Let's do a DNF group list and take a look and see what groups are installed and what are available. So let's wait for it to do its thing. So it's fetching the group list from the repositories. Takes a few seconds here. All right, so let's scroll up a little bit here. So we've got available environment groups. So here's, should look familiar from the Anaconda install earlier, but you can install additional environment groups as you see fit. Today we'll use the i3 desktop environment groups as a fallback or alternative environment. Installed, of course, is Cinnamon Desktop. We're running that right now. Installed groups, you can see what we have installed. Again, all those selections we did earlier. And we've got a whole bunch of more available groups that we haven't installed yet. So you can see Fedora groups provides a lot of different packages at your disposal. So let's do DNF group info i3. Let's see what the i3 tiling window manager group proposes to install. So we've got a mandatory package list. So we've got LightDM is already installed, as is Firefox as a default packages. A whole bunch of things are already installed. So looks good to me. I don't think anything conflicts with Cinnamon. So let's do the deed and install the i3 group with sudo dnf group install i3 and hit return. So it pulls an additional 38 packages. Parallel downloads makes things quick, as you can see, and i3 tiling window manager is installed. So let's reboot and test it. Escape for boot menu. Let's boot from option 1, which is the drive. So LightDM Display Manager should pick up the i3 environment automatically. Okay, so let me put my password in. And then, there you go. In addition to Cinnamon, you also have i3, or also i3 with debug log. So select i3. The icon changes to i3. Let's stick with the defaults here quickly. I just want to show you that it works. So I hit enter and hit enter again. The Win key is the super key. Okay, so super key enter should launch the terminal. Yes, it does. Let's make the font a little bigger. All right, let's do something here under i3. Let's sudo dnf install Timeshift. Right, we set up our BTRFS subvolumes to be compatible with Timeshift. So we're good to go with installing Timeshift and should be able to use it right away. Okay, Timeshift is installed. Let's do a Super Shift Q to exit the terminal, then Super Shift E to exit i3 session. So yes, exit i3. So we're back to LightDM. Let me enter my password here and then select the Cinnamon. So we'll go back to the Cinnamon desktop environment. And there we are. So we have two working desktop environments. So if something goes wrong with Cinnamon, you can always switch over to i3, fix the system, and then you're back in business, right? Always good to have options. So let's launch Timeshift. Enter my password here. Let's see. Yes, it detected that we have a valid configured BTRFS subvolume layout. So BTRFS is automatically selected. VDA3, that's our hard drive where the snapshots are stored. We'll select these default snapshot levels here. Scheduled snapshots are enabled. That's fine. Enable BTRFS queue groups recommended. That's enabled. Click next here, and we are completed the Timeshift setup. So Timeshift is active. Let's create our first base system snapshot. You can see, unlike rsync, BTRFS snapshots are instant practically. So let's comment this as fresh install. It's got a nice date there for our snapshot, so we can always restore to a freshly installed system should something go wrong using Timeshift. You can roll back very easily. I'll demonstrate that shortly. Okay, so let's open up the terminal here. And what I'm going to do next is sudo dnf update. Make sure we are synchronized with the repositories, because I am going to next install with sudo dnf install NeoFetch. It's a nice test package. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, DNF isn't that slow considering if you have it set up correctly and you have a decent internet connection. Not slow at all. So NeoFetch. There you go. Very reasonable usage for the Cinnamon desktop, which is very complex and very advanced. Okay, so let's do Timeshift. So let's say I want to roll back and undo installing NeoFetch, right? So I'll select the fresh install snapshot and I'll just click restore to restore to it. So data will be modified on the roots subvolume. Please save your work and close all applications. System will reboot after files are restored. Restore completed. Instant. That's the power of BTRFS. Copy on write. So now we're running on the live snapshot, which is live before restoring. Okay, so in order to make this happen, we need to reboot. So let's do it now. So Timeshift implies it will reboot for you, but you actually have to manually reboot. Okay, so let's choose option 1 and boot from the drive, hard drive, SSD. And, so now we've rolled back to the fresh install snapshot. Cool. I'll just ignore this oopsie here. Connections established. Yes. Got network connection. Okay. So let's open up the terminal. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay, NeoFetch. Hit return. Yes, we've rolled back, so NeoFetch is no longer installed. Very easy. Timeshift makes it very easy. All right, say, oops, I made a mistake. I wanted NeoFetch after all. Well, I just go back to Timeshift, authenticate with my password, and I'm just going to roll forward to the second snapshot here, which says before restoring, and then the date. So let's restore to the second snapshot, and hopefully we get our NeoFetch back. So the same process, it's almost instantaneous. So you create a third snapshot. Every operation you do, it creates another snapshot, which is really a good logic. Let's reboot again. And select one for our hard drive. Same procedures last time. Waiting for LightDM to show up. There it is. So let me log in by entering my password one more time. Thanks for bearing with me. I just want to demonstrate Timeshift here and Fedora. So now NeoFetch should be back. So let me make the font size nice and big. Let's put this in the middle of the screen. And we type NeoFetch. Yay, it's back. Fabulous. So there you go. All right, so Timeshift is working brilliantly. It's not a real backup solution, but it comes in very handy if you want to switch between snapshots. Okay, so under accessories, let's look and see what's installed. Under graphics, we've got this. Internet has these programs, including Firefox and email, Thunderbird. Office programs are here. Sound and video. Universal Access has onboard. Administration has all these applets, including Timeshift, etc. Preferences. So that's basically your preference panel, all broken down into a list. Okay. So let me go to administration. Let me launch DNF Dragora. So that's kind of the, under GNOME you have the software center, right? So for this spin or this install, DNF Dragora is used. Very similar program for installing additional packages here. And you can change your repositories, etc., etc. So, cool. All right, so let's look for a good, easy to use backup program. So Deja Dupe is one such program that I like to use and push. You can never have enough backups. Always be safe and secure in your data. Have a backup program and process and policy ready for all your important data. So you can back up off-site and do encryption, schedules, etc., etc. Deja Dupe is very powerful considering how simple it is. So installing this installs a bunch of support packages, so that looks good. Let me enter my password and let it do its thing. 38 packages it needs, including Deja Dupe itself. And it's complete. So Deja Dupe backup program should be now installed. So let me quit DNF Dragora. And let me go to the menu here. And Deja, so there is backups. So it's called backups, even though it's the Deja Dupe package. So welcome to backups. So you can create your first backup button and also restore from a previous backup button. Very easy interface. Under preferences, storage location, you can store it on Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive, network server, or a local folder, although that's you should be your last resort, right? I wouldn't use a local folder. Then might as well use Timeshift. And keep up backups forever, at least 3 months, 6 months, or a year. And you can also, 6 months is usually a good thing. Backup automatically, so you can turn on the scheduler. You can do daily, every 2 days, every 3 days, or weekly as the default, weekly backups. So you can set that here. There are folders, so on the top menu item, you can select here which folders On top of home, you want to back up. So you can select using the choose folder dialog box. Same thing with folders to ignore. So trash and downloads is probably a good idea. You don't want to back those up. So yes, very handy program. Can't recommend good backups enough. Really, it's really important. So yeah, this is based on GNOME 43, so 43.4. It's a libweta program. So very nice. Notice it doesn't match the theming with Cinnamon. That's fixable if you install the right themes, Adwaita themes. You can match your Cinnamon theming. Well, good. I believe that's all I have to show for you today. And I think now we're ready for further adventures. Fedora Linux continues to be installed on most of my devices. I really like its broad appeal for both casual and advanced users, as well as developers, supposedly the prime audience. 37 is a fantastic release. Give it a try. Thanks so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Until next time, have a lot of fun.